quick before I let you both go, something looking ahead at that you're both going to have to vote on, which is the Speaker of the House, Congresswoman-elect Bush. Will you vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker?
What I'm going to do is make sure that the voices of the people of St. Louis are heard and that we have what we need. And so you'll find out then.
That's not a yes.
I'm working with my community. I'm working with my community.
Okay. And Congressman-elect Bowman, will you vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker?
So you will find out when my vote is tallied, and again, organizing with our community to figure out what's best.
I'm just curious, what does that mean? When you said organizing with our community, I mean, what do you want to hear from them real quick in order to make your decision on whether Nancy Pelosi should be the Speaker?
So for me,
go ahead,
Corey.
Jamal.
No, for me, go ahead.
Sorry, we're almost out of time, actually. So just give me a 10-second answer.
We got to bring HR 40 to the floor for a vote. We need reparations for the African-American community. We need a federal jobs guarantee. We need Medicare for all.
Thank you.
Welcome to a late night Saturday, late night on the East Coast, I guess. Not too late, but a late evening Saturday stream for You Left Shit Out. I'm your host. Actually, let me fix this. I am your only host for tonight's episode. They call me Jay or CJ. Let me fix that now. There we go. That's better. So welcome to You Left Shit Out special stream. Hopefully you were on our Substack and got the notification that we're going live and you're not watching this on replay. If you did not, make sure you join our Substack. But what I find, do we remember back during this interview when people thought it was like, oh, wow, Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush, wow, they may actually have some guts. Remember that? And now fast forward, 2 years later, he was the biggest sellout. Like literally, he was the biggest and the quickest sellout, Jamal Bowman. But they had us fooled during this interview. It was like, wow, he's saying reparations. He need this and he need that. Then he went to the back and got the boot and started licking it. It was literally that quick. Now, if you hear, I can hear it. So if you hear screaming or kids, that's my two girls in the background. I don't know what they're playing, some kind of game, but if you hear them, that's what that is. All right, so let's get into announcements and so we can get into this topic. I wanted to make it a singular topic, but I did throw in some very short just stories. I just want to make sure we get them out there. It's very important. The Michigan Governor, all charges dropped. So that's another story. And then Democrat progressive Democrat Karen Bass elected as mayor in LA is starting to crack or will be cracking down on the homeless or unhoused population in California. So if we have time, those are two stories that have just keep getting pushed to the next stream that I'm hoping to get to take care of those today or tonight. This evening for those on the West Coast and actually in Hawaii, non-voting felon on Twitter, Michael in real life, he's in Samoa, so he's 2 hours. So he is what, 4? It's 4:45 for him right now in the day. So, all right. So shout out to Mike. Let's get to announcements first, since I already started with it. Join our Substack if you want access to our Discord or you need notifications for when we go live. Join our Substack. Next thing, we are at 27,121. That's what I checked before we got started. So welcome to all the new subscribers. Hopefully you'll enjoy this ride. And whether you agree or disagree, I think you'll find the conversations at least enlightening from another perspective. So if you don't agree. So also double check to make sure you have not been unsubscribed. The target is actually 30,000. When we made this target, Nick made the target, it was a while ago, 8 months ago. And we was just throwing out a number, 30,000. Let's see if we get it. Had no idea we would come this close. We're literally 3,000 or 2,900 or 879. So that's how close we are to getting there. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Also like this stream. This is a late night stream, so we'll see how many people is out and about. I'm sure we're gonna catch those that aren't necessarily the people that go out and party, or maybe parents, young parents, or maybe because we have a very wide variety, and I'm sure we have a lot of people internationally that's here. So how about we do this? Tell us where you're at. I'll throw that up. Tell us what city, if you would like, but at least the state if you don't want to get too specific. At least give us the state if you're in the United States, and if you're in another country, tell us what country you're in, and I'll throw those up as we are liking the stream. So if you haven't checked out, now if you look at the thumbnail, if you haven't checked out Danny Haifon's Left Lens, it is really gaining traction. So, or it really has gained traction in the last 2 or 3 months, I would say specifically. But we're at 64 likes, 120 people watching. Can we move to 100 likes? Let's get 40 more, or maybe 35 more. We're at 64. So 35 more likes. Let's get to 100. And then we shall toss the graphic up. So Left Lens, like I was saying, is really taking off. They're doing some great numbers. Subscriptions just blew up. His views just blew up. And, I mean, his production has gotten better. So he's vastly improved his productions. You can see that in the thumbnails. You can see that in the guest bookings. So he has improved his game and has made it better. But anyway, the reason he's on the graphic is because he's one of the people who ratioed Jamaal Bowman. So we will get to that in just a moment. One other thing here. Now we're shooting for 100 likes, and now let's look and see who's here on this late night. I wonder if we got different people than we have during the day. Let's start with your locations. Let's start with where you're at. So Danny is the man. Let's see. Let's start with Rick. Rick is in Tulsa, Texas Mexican border. Awesome. I would have been a fellow Texan if I hadn't decided not to move to Texas. I was at a fork in the road where I had to decide to move to Texas or not. We went out to Austin, near the Tesla dealership, near the Tesla facility actually, and some kin is out there in Houston and in Austin. My wife's kin is in Austin. My kin is in Houston, and well, it was decent. It was a cool place, but it's just not for us. Not for my wife, especially. So, just not for us. So that's the reason why I decided not to now. Comrade Danny is great. So you're in Phoenix, Arizona. So you got a lot going on with the Senate race that's out there. You got Kristen Sinema. I wonder what are your thoughts on her. We have somebody Lexington, Kentucky. So you're in Charles Booker. He's the other progressive that has sold out Palestinians, I think. I think he is. And that's Sky. Oh, is that Sky Daddy? Is that Sky Daddy? Sky Daddy. That picture actually tells me that could be Sky Daddy. Maybe not, because I don't see the E. There is another podcaster named Sky Daddy, but it's has an E at the end. Malaysia, international flavor. Malaysia. Columbus, Ohio. You're one of the pivotal states. You're one of the pivotal states they're always talking about Ohio and Florida. So you're out there in Columbus, Ohio. All day, every day. I don't know where that is, but I'm with it. Just joking. Alexis in Rochester, New York. Awesome. Northeast Ohio, another Ohioan. I'm at 22 degrees. Wow. That's pretty cold for me, but 60s is cool for me, not cold, but cool. Another Clevelandite or another Ohioan from Cleveland, New York on Canada border. So is it a feel of like you're really a Canadian? Like, is it a lot of Canadians living right on the border inside of United States and vice versa? I guess that would be a question. I'm in denial. Let's see. When will the US give back Texas? Try never. Louisville, Kentucky, Detroit. I mean, just everywhere. Everywhere. People are everywhere. So, New Jersey. Oops, sorry about that. If that created noise. Here goes somebody on the West Coast. Where's that? Oregon. Somebody in Oregon. And all citizens of the university. Let's see. Another person in Louisville. Vito Lake. I think, is that Lake in Arizona we're talking about? Oh, we have somebody in London, England. How's it going? Wow. Grand Rapids. I mean, I'm amazed that it's so many different places. Greetings from Cleveland. I think we have the most so far identified in the comments is from Ohio. I think we're up to 4 in Ohio. Minneapolis, San Diego. What is this? I might put no. Temple City. Okay, that's not too far. That's very near LA. That's considered LA. So if somebody says if you're from Temple City and you're going internationally, oh, yeah, I'm from LA. That's what you would say because that's the most recognizable, and it's in LA County. So some of y'all colder than me. So Bay Area. They're going to Bay Area. The Bay. That's what we say in SoCal. We call it the Bay. Oh, I'm gonna take a trip to the Bay. That's kind of like Southern Californians kind of mistakenly start that all the way in San Jose when it should be it's just Oakland and San Francisco. So I'm just buying time for some more people. We're up to 160. So because I want you to really get this ratio, I want as many people to catch it from the beginning. New Hampshire, Portland, Oregon. Is this a different New Jersey? Santa Fe, New Mexico. Athens, New York. Durham, North Carolina. This is amazing. Is that Lawrenceburg, Indiana? Ohio in the chat. I'm assuming you're another Ohioan. Wow, this is yeah, I'm glad we can be cold and diverse. Sydney, Australia. I almost moved to Australia years ago before I got married. Wow. So Bakersfield, this is amazing. Now you see the reach of RBN. Got to clip this. Just got to clip the city shout out and put this up just to say RBN community. Where is RBN community? Where is the RBN community? And then it'll just show us shouting out all these people. Italy going and 4 a.m. here. Wow. My oldest daughter's name is Italy, actually. I named her after. Yeah, I like the name. So Italy. And it's 4 a.m. there. Wow. This is, I mean, I'm humbled by the diversity. I'm humbled by the international flavor. Quebec. Colorado's 3rd district. We got somebody in Georgia. Wow, this is just amazing. All right, so I think we got to bring it to an end. Rhode Island is in the house. We have South Carolina in the house. We got Long Beach. Okay, that's down the street from me. Yeah, RBN from Sea to Shining Sea. Like the stream. All right, so East Oakland. Florida. All right, so I think I've gotten to the bottom. Wow, that's amazing. Lots of people from many different areas. So so let's have this international powwow, this intercontinental powwow about Jamal Bowman. I mean, he's terrible. He's the one that flipped the quickest. We're at 117 likes. Thank you for that. So we shattered our goal. Keep going, and we're up to 180. You see how it directly correlates? You want more people in the chat, just simply like more, and you'll get more people. It's very one for one, not one for one, but it's very responsive. All right, so let's now get to Bowman RATIO'D. Now we all know what's going on. The squad decided to take their chances and vote down a strike or vote to suppress a strike. Let's say it that way. And they thought, some of their other things when they voted for Israel, when they voted for police funding, and some of their other terrible votes, they just thought they would just post a couple of tweets, say Medicare for all, we need it now in the tweet, and then everybody would forget. That's not happening with this strike-breaking vote. That is completely not happening with the strike-breaking vote. So let me just scroll down to one of the articles here. One second here. Trying not to go to a different screen. But if I have to, I will. Not a big deal. Bowman. Let's see if it comes up this way. Now, so this is where it starts here. Not where it starts, but this is where I'm going to start. Because maybe the reason there's lingering resentment, lingering animosity towards the people that socialists voting to break strikes, some of it is tied to the audacity of them doing things like this. Planning a cover story rally with rail union leadership in conjunction with them to present a cover story for Democrats. So if you've been paying attention, AOC and some of the other progressives like Jamal Bowman, Rashida Tlaib, Bernie Sanders, they all attended a rail worker rally, supposedly. A union rally where they didn't want union rank and file to show up. They just had leadership show up. Very poorly attended, but it was intentionally. The audacity of them coming out and pretending like they're doing something for the workers of the rail workers after they just voted to crush the strike is why I fuels some of my continuing animosity with this story. And then I think for this particular thread that we're going to be discussing today, I think what tipped people off is that he is in the tweet pretending to be for unions. Now, it's not the rail unions, it's the Starbucks unions, and he's trying to shout them out. People wasn't having that shit. So we're going to go to that, but let me just briefly read a snippet here, just to get, for those that may not know this story, I do want to get you caught up to date. So on Tuesday, the two largest unions, the Brotherhood of Locomotives, or BLELT, and Smart TD. I'm just reading their acronyms instead of the full names, okay? So on Tuesday, the two largest unions, BLELT and Smart TD, held a series of rallies around the United States. Their aim was to rehabilitate the badly exposed image of the Democratic Party, above all its pseudo-left progressive wing, after it imposed a contract on railroaders and blocked a strike at the start of the month. And the second paragraph before we get back. So, in an event advertised under the tagline "Fight for Workers," the speakers list at the main rally in Washington, D.C. was given over entirely to those individuals who played key roles in ripping up workers' rights to strike. This included Congresspeople and Democratic Socialists of America members, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Jamal Bowman, and Cory Bush, who voted in favor of the anti-strike bill, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who cast meaningless votes against in the Senate, but who supported the procedural maneuver that guaranteed the bill's rapid passage, also spoke. So that's the people, set the scene, and I believe this could be fueling part of that. Now, since I'm here, let me bring up the other article I have on Jamal here, so I don't have to double back to this website before we go to some video footage and also the actual tweet. Where did I put it? Oh, I put it in my message here. I mean, it's so many. Let's toss this one up, though. Where is it at? This one. So let's toss this headline up. Here is some more from, oops. Why did it do it? Oh, I gotta click on it. So here's some more from Jamal Bowman. You can see, where is the, oh, I won't show the graphic, but this article here, Democratic Socialists of America confront left-wing opposition to Biden by shifting further to the right. Is that not what we see, what's happening with the squad, Jamal Bowman, AOC? Think about their votes lately. How many votes that aren't showing your progressive values? How many of those votes must they take before we go, maybe they're not progressive? You know what I mean? Like saying I'm progressive and doing something else. But anyway, there is a snippet in this article I really want to zero in because it's very, very, very important. To bridge the growing chasm between the DSA myth and the Democratic reality, the DSA leadership is maneuvering to the right, calling for an end. Now, listen to this shit here. Calling for an end to any political principle that might marginalize the DSA from the Democratic Party establishment. That is an amazing line. That's DSA moving to the right. So now I think I prefaced the story enough. So now let's go to the tweet. So he made this vote, and we may have to double back to the website, even though I was trying not to for this segment, because there is, I think, two other articles we got to point out specifically about Jamal Bowman. But let's bring up the tweet that we're talking about. Now, if it was a longer tweet, this actually would have been the opening. And that opening video where they're pretending like they were going to do something radical, it was such a good performance. Jimmy Dore retweeted it saying, this is great. This is a great sign that they hear us and feel the pressure. So let's now scroll down to the actual tweet. So here is, and maybe I've zoomed in too close. I keep doing that all the time. So let's back out a little bit. So here is the tweet. Always standing in solidarity with This is the Amazon Starbucks. I'm sorry, I was going to say Amazon, but the Starbucks Workers United. Let's go. Double down strike. I mean, I just don't think this, just starting out, this was a good idea for him. Like, you got to be able to read the room. You just broke a strike. The sentiment that's going around. Your henchman known as Ryan Grimm has been out trying to spread this message and it's failing. This. Maybe this is something you shouldn't tweet out. For your own sake, do what AOC is doing or did for a while after that. She laid low for several days. Maybe you should, Jamal, because this is terrible. So let's listen to the performance. I mean, let's look at it right now without the video. Let's read the facial expressions without the video. You tell me how genuine you feel about what he's saying without even listening to the sound. Let's just look at his face. You tell me what you think if you were a person that's trying to analyze this guy. It looks like he's just reading some shit to me. I don't see any conviction in his face. I don't see any emotion about the words that he is saying as if it's actually him that's believing this. I don't see any of that. Now let's turn on the sound and play it with the sound. But this is what got him in trouble.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. We are standing in solidarity with Starbucks workers, 1,000 strong, are going on a 3-day strike to demand their respect and dignity and a living wage. We are standing with them in Congress and we are standing with them across the country. And let's not buy anything from Starbucks over a 3-day period in support of the workers. Peace and love. Let's go. Starbucks, show your workers respect. Let's get it done. Let's go.
This is his type of strike. This is the professional managerial type of strike. And like I said yesterday, I'm down for withholding capital from these capitalist companies. I'm down for doing actions like that. But is that the most radical we're going to get from this professional managerial class? Is this their general strike? Now just think about it. Professional managerial class not having a latte for 3 days? You know what they're doing after this? Not having a latte for 3 days? They're watching like the Fred Hampton movie during this 3-day period. Comparing themselves to that. I'm not having a latte today. Now I'm Fred Hampton. Tailor-made for the professional managerial class. But this is what got him in trouble. So this is something I just learned from Nick. So I'm going to go here and let's look and see. Now, this is something I learned from Nick yesterday. And somebody clipped this video, our reaction to. So anytime you look at the likes and you look at the comments, this, if it's close, this tell you this is people going in at this person. I didn't know that, and I'm learning more about signs I can learn on. But for this tweet, it actually ends up being true. Every single maybe actually, you know what? There might be one, and I'll show you that one. There might be one, but let's start with Danny's tweet here. Where is he? I think he's right around here. Here goes Danny. So Danny's tweet is here. He retweets or quote tweets and says, American politicians. I feel like I should make this bigger. There we go. And yeah. American politicians will break a strike for 1 section of workers then pose as if they support a strike for another. It's all a con to keep things just the way they are. And he ratios him. Small, it's a low ratio, but look at what this sitting rep gets on his. He barely gets 179,000 likes, and this guy has 47,000 or 41.7 thousand. Man, that's low for a rep. 41.7 thousand followers. Pretty terrible. So let's look and see what other things. Oops, can I go back? How do I go back? Yeah, let's look and see what people said in Danny's thread. And of course, we put the article here. Democratic Socialists of America scramble to defend its role in imposing anti-strike legislation or law. I forget the full name. Or imposing rail contract. So we posted this from our RBN account in that thread with Danny. And then I posted this, Jamal Bowman, Alexandria Cortez, and DSA long record with Israel. That was just as a bonus. So, but let's read some of the comments under Danny's tweet. He voted for funding Israel's apartheid state. Think about that for a moment. Think to yourself, how can this person have morals, principles, if he can endorse such atrocities? Nothing is off the table to a person with no morals or principles. So it's brutal. It's brutal. It's pretty brutal for him. In this one too. Let's see if we can find any positive comments. Anybody going after Danny? The government did not break the railroad strike. Breaking a strike requires rifles. Workers are slaves who refuse to risk rebellion. I mean, I get it, to me too. I'm also a coward and a weakling, but at least I'm openly aware of it. Not sure where that fits in with the comment. But Democrats and Republicans, same foreign policy, but domestic policy is to divide the people so that we don't get guillotines, so that we don't guillotine billionaires. Going to buy Starbucks for what you did to the rail workers. It's funny, but you got to support Starbucks workers separately. But that is a funny comment. First time I agree with Danny. Wow. So you have somebody who would normally not agree with Danny, who's agreeing with Danny. That's interesting. That could be just saying the glass ceiling is breaking for these people. The veneer is breaking, I should say. Rail workers help them hypocrites. Okay, so let's now go to a couple of other quote tweets that I want everybody to see here. So here is another one. Jamal Bowman is my representative. As one of his constituents, I should be aware of his voting record. His message in this video does not match his voting record, as he voted to block railroad workers' right to strike for better working conditions. He's a scab. This is somebody in his own district. You know how he likes to use that? Oh, you're not in my district, when he got the protester over there. You're not in my district. This is somebody in your district. And they're just quote tweeting. What you're saying in the video don't match your voting record, sir. Let's continue. Toot. And then there's several memes here. Here's a GIF of Major Payne. The scabs. Strike breaking for the bosses. So they posted a bunch of different ones. Can we have another 300 billion in weapons? Can I have sick pay? Can we have another 300 billion in weapons? Anytime, Jack. Can I have sick pay? Not a chance, Sonny boy. So those are some of the sorry for this one right here. Rail worker strike blocked. All right, so Then let's move to this one. Not sure what that one's. Just says fucking liar. And then it gives this. 5 of the 6 members of the squad, a group of 6 progressive socialist Democrats, voted with the majority to impose the contract, with only squad member Representative Rashida Tlaib voting against. 3 of the squad members who voted to impose a contract, and then they list the name. It looks like this is the same article that I read. So now do solidarity with the rail workers being called out. Fucking hypocrite. Where were you for rail workers? So there's a lot of the same. The squad is trolling us at this point, and I agree. This is trolling. They're just making fun of us at this point. Him putting this out is just really just making fun and rubbing it in our faces that people are going to elect them again, and they're just going to keep failing people. Scab Strikebreaker says, what? What a fucking clown. These lizards are the enemy of the people. Never forget who these progressives are. There is no solidarity with them. With them with gold plate. I think maybe it's gold plated healthcare. When you see them on any social media platform across the internet, they're telling workers to go fuck themselves without saying it. Yeah, that's another article. They're quoting him, pointing him out. Loving this. Okay, this right here is why Marx makes a distinction between productive and unproductive labor. Bowman voted to break the railroad strike, but stands with baristas. That's a great point. One can mount a challenge to power. The other is a distracting spectacle. No, I would say the other is not challenging power. I wouldn't describe it this way. But this is a great point. You notice the strikes they're with? The ones that don't challenge powerful rail barons? I think I got to take this out of my ear. This Democratic establishment lackey will never side with workers. It's one after another. So we know he's seen this. It's not like it was a bunch of great comments and he's got a couple of bad ones and he could have overlooked it. These are all bad. Gaslighting people after crushing a rail strike for 6 days really isn't a good look, sellout. This clown just broke a strike. All right, so let's scroll down to mine because there weren't this many when I was preparing for the show. I didn't realize I would be reading so many. So let's go down to mine. And I think the last time I checked, I was at 600. So we're at 610. And so this is him getting his ass handed to him. 179. We're literally more than 3 times that amount. So more than 3 times the amount. And all I said is, you are a strike-breaking clown. That got 610 likes. Completely ratio. Then that's ass handed to you. Then we have, of course, Sabby Sab in the house. I'm going to put this up. I like this. So Jamal, it's his ass handed to him. Split that up there. Jamal gets his ass handed to him. A 3 times ratio. That's pretty heavy. So CJ, it's straight up buffoonery. One of my favorite words at this point. And I agree with Sabby. This is just trolling. You got the audacity, literally, several days before that, you break a strike. And now you got the audacity to put this out. I was going to say, someone's pandering for votes. I'll retweet that one. Terrible, terrible, terrible. All right, so now let's get to some video here. We're going to come back. Or actually, I'm going to read a couple more, then we're going to come back to these tweets. But I want to get to some video footage we got talking about this piece of shit here. And we can call him that. He's a strike breaker. Strike breakers are pieces of shit. The modern wing of fascism. Colin, friend of the show, putting up a coon. Yeah, that's him. Coon tap dancing. Did I click it? Oh. Oh, there he goes. Oh, when you click it, it stops it. Okay. I thought it makes it bigger. So that's a spot on. That's spot on in describing Jamaal Bowman. Poser, another comment. I think it's strike breaking, Nazi arming buffoonery. He is voting for Iron Domes. He is visiting Israel. He is supporting he's supporting Nazis in the Ukraine war. Now he's strike breaking. What about this is progressive? I got a robot that has eyes that look like that. That's pretty funny too. Strike breaker and apartheid supporter. That's spot on. And just a clown face. Another retweet. There. Oops. Clicked it too much. And then below that, it says boost the Starbucks workers, but then vote to stop the rail worker strike. Support the pension. Rally on the steps of Capitol to Biden to give the rail paid sick days. Be consistent. And the new big thing is just to say the complete opposite of what your actions did. Did you think people actually forget how you voted? Always lots of hypocrisy or hypocrite politicians, but lately it seems like a memo went out to say the complete opposite of how you're voting daily. Spot on. Blue Moon, friend of the network, friend of the show. It is just me. Is it just me, or have these shows of corniness increase? That's a good question. What do y'all expect? The man lies and dodges taxes for a living. Jamaal Bowman is a union-busting servant of Wall Street, just like Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And like I said, I put these articles in here, but it's just brutal for him. That's just a few of the comments, and then we can go to some of mine. Now, there was a person who was upset. So let's go to that person now. Notice how this is not that person, but it's coming. Notice how they didn't screw the rail workers until after the election were over. What a bunch of scabs. Yeah. Yes. What a loser. Can't wait for the revolution. Causing the problems to run on, I don't know. Trying to see who. Oh, maybe it was in here. Or did they delete that? Because I could have sworn I quote tweeted somebody. Maybe they deleted their tweet because they got piled on. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe it's under here. Really? What makes a Starbucks really different than the ones? Okay, here it goes. This one right here. So this person replies to me here and says this. Please cite a source. I'm tired of baseless accusations being aimed at allies while you actively ignore the actual enemies. Republicans dismantling our democracy and actively suppressing unionization efforts. Is voting to break a strike actively suppressing union efforts? Until you focus on the actual problem, please be quiet. This is buffoonery. I mean, it's several things that give it away. This gives it away, dismantling democracy. This gives it away. This person is highly propagandized. So that gives it away. Now, you are a strike-breaking clown. He asked for the source. Now, we've already read some of the stuff. We've already know. But I quote tweeted the person, and I gave him some. Or I tweeted from the main account. So, Captain Save a Politician, identify. And then I went ahead and gave them receipts to the articles. And here is one of them. Democratic Socialism of America scrambled to defend its role in an imposing contract. All right, so now let's go to some video here. I showed you what that person said. Actually, this is moving along pretty good. So I want to kind of visit who Jamaal Bowman is. We showed you when he got elected, when people still didn't know he was the biggest sellout in modern political history, the quickest sellout, this guy. This is still when we thought Cori Bush and Jamaal Bowman, wow, we really got two people who's really going to be up there in there doing some adversarial shit. Then we fast forward to now and it's completely a joke. But let's go to, we can play that next. Now, this almost was the intro, but I decided against it because it was shorter. But
I'm Elizabeth Warren.
Let's listen to some of the things she's saying. Now, this should have tipped us off. This should have tipped us off. You have Elizabeth the Snake Warren endorsing Jamaal Bowman. Not a good thing. This is what we said about John Fetterman. If the Democratic establishment, anybody is endorsing John Fetterman, that means he's not a progressive. So we should have saw this from the jump. What we do is we see the hints, but we want to give people the benefit of the doubt, so we excuse the hints. But this is definitely.
I'm Elizabeth Warren, and I am proud to endorse Jamaal Bowman for Congress in New York's 16th District. He is exactly the kind of person that we need in Congress, fighting for big structural change. Whether it's fighting for high-quality public schools and...
She said fighting for big structural change. These people blatantly lie. Somebody wrote that. Like if she said that on the fly, it's more excusable that you poorly picked the word on the fly. Somebody wrote this, vetted it, proofread it, vetted it, proofread it again, and vetted it again before it actually got here. So they are intentionally trying to pretend like they're getting structural change when they know they're not.
Whether it's fighting for high-quality public schools and affordable housing or rooting out systemic racism, Jamaal Bowman has a plan for that. As a public school...
1 second. The structural change part is what I want to hear.
Jamaal Bowman for Congress in New York's 16th District. He is exactly the kind of person that we need in Congress, fighting for big structural change.
Would you say voting to break a strike, would you call that fighting for structural change, or would you say that's voting for status quo? Lizzie Warren? What would you say, Lizzie Warren? What would you say? Get my nice water. Throat is scratchy. Hope I'm not getting sick. All right, so let's continue with the good old Lizzie Snake here.
Whether it's fighting for high-quality public schools and affordable housing or rooting out systemic racism, Jamaal Bowman has a plan for that. As a public school educator for 20 years, Jamal's seen firsthand how low-income families are being locked out of opportunity by a system that's only working for those at the top. He understands that we can't keep settling for incremental progress. Jamal will be a champion for working people in Washington, and that is why.
How dare they use this language? She said structural change. And then this last thing she just said. Where's it at? Not settling for incremental progress. What? That's exactly what you're doing, is settling for incremental progress. Let's listen.
Working for those at the top. He understands that we can't keep settling for incremental progress. Jamal will be a champion for working people in Washington, and that is why I am honored to fight shoulder to shoulder with Jamal in this fight and all the fights to come. Early voting has already started in New York, so please vote for Jamaal Bowman on or before June 23rd. I'm Elizabeth.
Just terrible. But anyway, but let's listen to how Fox News described this piece, described Jamal Bowman. You won't believe this shit.
Elliot Engel is the long-serving congressman from New York. In Tuesday's primary, he was challenged by a young man with no political experience at all. The challenger is leading. Engel may lose, and that has significance way beyond New York. That's because Jamal Bowman, the challenger, is a socialist. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a very prominent supporter. Bowman wants Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and he wants to defund police departments. If he becomes Congressman Bowman, the far left gets even stronger, and the Democrat split gets a lot more.
I just wish these people were actually the way that Fox News describes them. I wish AOC was the way Fox News described. I wish Bernie Sanders was that way. I wish Joe Biden was this leftist that they describe. We wish they were that. Thank you for this super chat, Jay the Informant. James Clyburn coming to Houston or H-Town to endorse me. Pretty funny. Thank you for that super chat. Let's continue with this video.
More obvious. Old line establishment Democrats supported Engel. Look at them. Hillary Clinton, Senator Schumer, Speaker Pelosi. They all lined up behind the 73-year-old incumbent. A trio of big hitters desperate to avoid another challenge to their authority within the party. The old guard is being pushed further and further to the left, and they don't like it. I think, just think for a second, what this means for Joe Biden's candidacy. He's very much the old guard, but he's got to come up with policies that attract the young upstarts. AOC, and if he wins, Congressman Bowman. They will have a role in formulating those policies. They're pulling left. How does Joe accommodate the socialists while holding on to the moderates? And think what a Bowman victory means for New York and struggling cities all across the country. He wants to cut funding for the police. That's not very encouraging for any city that's trying to come back from the riots and the virus lockdown. With 95% of the vote counted, actually, I think it was 92% of the vote counted, Jamal Bowman leads Elliot Engel 60% to 36%. Mail-in ballots have not yet been counted. They won't be tabulated until June 30th. That is next week. So the Democrats have to wait to see if another insurgent further splits their party. Doesn't this raise another problem? What happens in November? With widespread mail-in balloting, we're not likely to find out who won the presidency on election day. It could be days or weeks to get the result. And that is a guarantee of chaos.
Like I said, I wish Jamal Bowman
Elliot Engel
was like this piece of shit describes. I mean, if he was that way, that would be awesome. If he was actually that way. Now let's just show some of the. This is the rail. This is when he went out to the rail rally, the pretend rally that they literally made up just for cover. Union leadership helped to put together this sham rally specifically to give these people cover. And this is what he said: I'll always be standing up for our powerful workers. It was an honor to join the rail workers at their rally. This is a sham. And he's at their rally for paid sick leave and the NLRB asking for sufficient funding. Worker power is everything. We're not going to back. This is literally a made up thing. These are staffers here. These are union leadership. That's who these people are. I read the article. Maybe I'll have to read it again. There was literally like 12 of actual workers there out of the 100 people that was there. Just a fucking joke. Like this one. I think is this the one that was in the first picture was an old rally he was at. He's showing all the different rallies he's at. This is you having to come out and do PR for yourself because you look like a freaking. And it's the same thing in here. Same thing. People just roasting him. Same thing. I wonder what's gonna happen. I wonder what are they thinking. This is not a typical we did a bad thing and all we got to do is tweet and everybody is back on our path. It's not happening that way. It's not happening that way. Let's see what else I got here. So that's some of the pictures there. Then here is the letter because they refer to this letter at the rally, at the fake pretend rally they conjured up or made up, created with the sellout union leadership. This is the letter they're talking about they sent as they're continuing to fight. This is their continuing to fight for the rail workers. Today, Senator Sanders and I led a letter to President Biden asking him to guarantee 7 paid sick days, paid sick leave, 7 days of paid sick leave for rail workers. We outlined several options for executive action, including covering rail workers under protection for federal contractors. Every worker deserves paid sick leave. I don't understand what they think. What do they think people are going to do? I don't understand. Like, what do you think the reaction of people will be? Don't get it. This almost was the intro for the
Even want to respond, but I have to respond to this.
Because let's listen. You'll see how it rings true for himself, what he says here.
You know, sometimes what this person says is so outrageous that I don't even want to respond, but I have to respond to this. When we are elected to Congress, we take an oath to protect the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an enemy of the Constitution and of our country, and she should be expelled from Congress. This is incredible that this comes out of this person's mouth and things like this.
Let me read what she says, by the way. Marjorie Taylor Greene told attendees at the New York Young Republicans Club Gala last night that if Steve Bannon and I organized the January 6th insurrection, we would have won. Not to mention, we would have been armed. This is the coon. This is the House Negro coming out, flailing his arms to protest for massa. That's what this is. Let's listen again.
You know, sometimes what this person says is so outrageous that I don't even want to respond, but I have to respond to this. When we are elected to Congress,
he has to respond to this. He has to.
We take an oath to protect the Constitution against enemies, foreign.
Now, you tell me, compare the emotion he has in this video to the emotion he had when he was talking about the Starbucks unions. Which one has more emotion? This one where this coon is tap dancing for master right here. It has way more passion and emotion.
To Congress, we take an oath to protect the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an enemy of the Constitution and of our country, and she should be expelled from Congress. This is incredible that this comes out of this person's mouth and things like this continue to come out of her mouth. She needs to be expelled from Congress immediately, and the Republican Party should condemn everything she said and take the steps to expel her from Congress.
So, Jamal Bowman, this is Rich. Let me read what it says again. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene told attendees at the New York Young Republicans Club Gala last night that if Steve Bannon and I had organized the January 6th insurrection, I said we would have won, end quote. Another quote, not to mention we would have been armed, end quote. I don't personally, I don't see nothing wrong. I don't care. That this is nothing to me. So Jamal Bowman has more emotion about this than he has about the actual workers. And let's listen to what he says here at the end again.
Everything she said and take the steps to expel her from Congress.
Jamal Bowman votes for the Iron Dome and does a bunch of other votes for Israel, travels out to Israel, doesn't get expelled by DSA. They strike break, haven't been expelled by DSA yet. And in fact, one of the DSA factions said that they should expel Shama Sawant. You can go check out the clip. We uploaded it today. Is this serious? But she should be expelled from an elected position because of this. Something she said at an organization. But you shouldn't be expelled for strike breaking? This is clown shit. That's what this is. This is clown shit. So let's continue with the next video here. One last video. Or is it one last video? Maybe it's not one last video. Let me look before I say that, because it may not be one last video. Two videos, could be three, depends on how this goes. All right, so let's bring up this next part. We're gonna go to Richard Medhurst and listen to him. It's about 2 minutes of his video that we're gonna listen to here. Let's back it up all the way. It's about 2 minutes we're gonna listen to right here.
So Jamal Bowman, he got elected to Congress, right? He got sworn in just last week. And if you recall well, he unseated Eliot Engel, right? So that guy, Engel, was one of AIPAC's top people in the U.S. Congress, right? AIPAC being the Zionist lobby. So that was quite an upset until you start reading between the lines, literally, and you see that, oh, actually, there's nothing to worry about. Because just like with every progressive in Congress, there's always a catch. There's always a catch. You scratch just a little bit beneath the surface, you start reading between the lines, you look at their foreign policy, and you find it. I mean, Richie Torres, who also got elected, he's a full-blown open Zionist. Like, that guy's like, oh yeah, Israel is the beacon of human rights in the Middle East. Meanwhile, they're murdering Palestinians left and right. No, Jamal Bowman, he's interesting, right? So I've covered him before. For example, he got called out. It was an open letter from Rabbi Weiss, and he was worried that, if you get rid of our friend Eliot Engel, I mean, what are we going to do? Because he's a great friend of Israel. So, that this is a problem. And you've said some concerning things before. He said, I can't even remember what it was. It was some like mild thing. Like, I'm concerned about the rights of Palestinians. Like, that's the mildest thing you can possibly say. And I think Bowman said that once. And so this rabbi was really concerned, right? Weiss was really concerned. And then Jamal Bowman answers him as well with an open letter and says, oh, you got nothing to worry about. I oppose BDS. And I read that and I'm like, oh, wow. another great progressive, just like Ayanna Pressley and Ro Khanna voting against BDS, right? Like, there we go. And Barack Obama, if you go and look at Bowman's Twitter, he specifically says that Barack Obama read his open letter, and that's why he called him up and endorsed him. So, he
Barack Obama read his open letter, and that's why he endorsed him. But we say this all the time, and shout out to Richard Medhurst. He's been on the network a couple times. I know he's been on JB's show a couple times. So, and Nick will be trying to get him on in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Progressive except for Palestine, I guess. That is now the standard. Progressive except for Palestine. That is now the standard, I would say. Let's now go to another video I have. And this next video, where we go to watch later. I think I saved it under watch later. This next video, I think this one is from Majority Report. And then we'll end with that Jimmy Dore video there. Yeah. This is a short one. 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Somebody calls in about Jamal Bowman, and they're mad that DSA wants to expel him.
Briefly on the Bowman thing, it's stupid and dumb that DSA isn't re-endorsing him. And also, their statement sucks because J Street is not some pro-Israel lobby group, and saying that is like...
The title of this video is DSA member furious with Jamal Bowman. DSA, so some DSA want them. So maybe this is the ultra left cult that DSA North Star said about Shama Sawant. The DSA members that are furious about Jamal Bowman, and then there's DSA members or DSA adjacent people like Emma and Sam who don't agree with that. They think, let me let them say it, and then I'll give my critique.
Like, I mean, like, do I love what J Street always does? No, but like, they are infinitely better than APAC.
Yes.
And I would rather people donate to J Street.
They're infinitely better than APAC. What does that do? Comparing something to something that is terrible and awful, what does that do? You're essentially saying the lesser of two evils in APAC and J Street.
And politicians come talk to J Street than APAC because like I'm sorry, but that's lazy and ignorant, and it's embarrassing, honestly, to be a part of. I love DSA. I'm proudly a member, but it's embarrassing that they put this out, honestly.
Yeah, I tend to think that it is a mistake because, again, context matters. And
context matters. Context matters. The context of what Jamal Bowman did matters. So according to Sam's logic, what context is it okay to be pro-slavery? Let me lean in to hear this. What context? Context doesn't matter if you have principles. It's called being consistent. And listen to the illogical logic from the people with degrees. That's what I'm going to start saying. Illogical logic from the people with the degrees, better known as professional managerial class.
In a different context where we had 110 members of the Democratic caucus who were willing to hold Israel to account as opposed to like 5 or something.
So what he's saying is, I would oppose slavery if I had 100 members in Congress who also were abolitionists. But if it's just 5 of us, I'm just going to roll with the slavery, motherfucker. That's what Sam is saying. Context.
Something like that, or 4, then maybe you could raise the standard for, who can, for how aggressive people can be in terms of sanctioning Israel.
Like,
but
this is
Bowman
what we're
has been
trying
very
to team up with.
strong on Palestinian
these people
rights.
will sell
And
you the fuck out at any point. They will sell you the fuck out and come up with a illogical, logical reason. I just can't hear this shit no more. So let's go to the last video. I can't listen to that trying to explain how you shouldn't, and you're trying to like when and when not to be for. You see how they sell you out? When and when not to be for Palestinians. It is truly ridiculous here. This is an 8-minute video. We might watch half of it. Jimmy Dore, this is the last video on this fucking clown that gets ratioed by Danny Highspring and also I. So this freaking dipshit, of course, remember he got called out. Anti-war protester came up. Briefly, we'll cover a little bit of this just as the package of the Jamal Bowman package.
Jamal Bowman, you know who Jamal Bowman is. Now, he's a member of the squad. He's also a fraud, just like all the members of the squad.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Oh, are you being sarcastic? So he got confronted because they all voted to fund COP. They all voted for Israel. They all voted for Ukraine war, to send missiles and money, billions of it, to Nazis in Ukraine to fight a proxy war at the behest of the military-industrial complex and big oil.
Don't you see we got to balance out that we give so much to Israel, so we balance it by giving some to Nazis?
To Nazis? Oh, you got to balance it. So some guy decides to confront him and yell at him. Watch.
Do more on climate. We could do more on lowering prescription drug costs. We could do more on gun control. We could do more with regard to the Black agenda. We can do more.
Congressman, you're a hypocrite because you are funding neo-Nazis in Ukraine. They are wearing the Black Sun symbol, the same symbol that the Buffalo shooter used, the same symbol that the person who almost killed the vice president in Argentina used.
Thank you so
say
much.
You want to advance the Black cause.
Look at him, not even caring what that guy is saying. He was already ready to go into his thank you so much. Can't do this.
But you are funding
anymore.
the same people who killed in the name of white supremacy.
This is the foundation. This is the foundation of our democracy, freedom of speech.
You choose to fund Nazis.
Stick around and I will have a conversation with you right after the end. But let me get to the conclusion. Stick around. I promise. I got you.
Yeah, okay.
The foundation of our democracy is
with the future Speaker of the House right there at the same table. I don't know what else to say about this strategy. This is such a joke of a strategy at this point with these people executing this. This is such a joke of a strategy for me. This is clown shit. Jamal Bowman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and the DSA long record of military support for Israel. This is Jamal Bowman, and they haven't even been here that long, and they are this terrible. Is this the same one? I can close that one. Yeah, let's close out. All right, so is it this one? Yeah. Last week's decision by the DSA, National Political Committee, not to expel New York Democratic Congressman and DSA member Jamal Bowman does not mark a break from DSA tradition. On the contrary, it marks a continuation of the organization's long history of support for U.S. imperialism's military aid to Israel. For over 50 years, the DSA, its predecessor, the Democratic Socialist Organization Committee, have served as a faction of the capitalist foreign policy establishment, providing pseudo humanitarian justification for America's imperialist machinations abroad, with particular support for Israel's military funding. Bowman's vote to support billions in funding for Israel military, AOC's vote of present, as well as Bowman's participation in a propaganda visit to boost the right-wing government of Prime Minister Bennett, are the outgrowths of its history. So these aren't, oh, what is he doing? We need to. This is what DSA has been doing. Understand, DSA is capitalist version of socialism. It's, let's get some people that's really not communist, really not talking about getting rid of capital, and let's make them the far right, the far left that we're gonna go. So let's continue with the next article here that I will leave. And I think this one is we're just gonna leave what they show the headline here. Democratic Socialists of America Congressman Jamal Bowman votes for Israel's Iron Dome, visits with right-wing Prime Minister Bennett. This is Jamal Bowman. And let's read here. On September 24th, New York Democratic Congressman and DSA member Jamal Bowman voted to provide the Israel military with $1.1 billion for its Iron Dome armament program, in addition to the $3.3 billion in Israeli military funding that Bowman previously voted for in July. So we're talking about $4.4 billion at this point. This is a socialist to you. Just despicable. Let's end with a few of your comments on this topic, and then we're going to quickly cover the remaining two stories. CJ, it's not a strategy anymore. It's a career for these clowns, and that's spot on. Let's go. Wildcat general strike. We need to be impressive to lead. Obama on his college campus. Bush, I don't know what that is. Let's go to the next one. Seriously, you can't attack them because they are Black and Latino. Must be a different conversation. CIA plants, if you ask me. Some people are saying that. It is a sickness. He is saying he hates the foundation of democracy and freedom of speech out loud. Sam Cedar hates forced to vote because of Jimmy Dore, but he is a huge supporter of pressure the election. I love Sam Cedar called Jimmy Dore a right-winger. All right, so I agree, CJ. All right, so let's quickly get to these other remaining stories and read these and try to keep this at an hour and a half for 90 minutes. And let's go to this one here. Karen Bass, sworn in as Los Angeles mayor, plans crackdown on homelessness. This one's written by I'm sorry, I switched screens. This was written by Dan Conway. Switch screens. I'm looking at the video I would like to play. Let's do this one here, because Mayor Karen Bass declares state of emergency, and I want to play this clip for you. Then we're going to come back to this to show you what's happening in LA. So she was a mayor-elect. I think most of us know that part. that she's mayor-elect. And she's a so-called progressive, but progressive in the same way that AOC and Jamaal Bowman are progressive. So take that with a grain of salt. So, but let's talk. She declared a state of emergency on homelessness. That's what the headline says here. Okay, so let me put up the banner. Yeah. Karen Bass and Karen Bass's homelessness. Let's watch this short clip just to get us up to date. Mayor Karen Bass declares state of emergency. This is a local news station, ABC 7. This is Disney's news station in SoCal. So let's listen.
Actually haven't even been to City Hall yet. It shows the people of Los Angeles that we are united and serious about the city's crisis of homelessness. To the nonprofit service providers that are here, thank you for being here. You're on the front lines with the people, saving lives, and we must work together as true partners, and moving forward, we will. I am proud to be joined by Supervisor and President, Chairwoman of the County Board of Supervisors, Janice Hahn, the President of the City Council, Paul Krikorian, the Pro Tem of the City Council, Curran Price, the Chairwoman of the Housing and Homeless Committee, Nithya Raman, and providers throughout our city, as well as all of the general managers. I started this first day as your mayor, leading the meeting that just concluded with the heads of our city departments and those of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority and LA Metro, to brief them on the emergency declaration that I'm about to sign and to start our collective work to solve the homelessness crisis. My mandate is to move Los Angeles in a new direction with an urgent and strategic approach to solving one of our city's toughest challenges and creating a brighter future for every Angelino. Today, on my first day of office, we hit the ground running with a sea change in how the city tackles homelessness, declaring a state of emergency and activating the Emergency Operations Center. I will not accept a homelessness crisis that afflicts more than 40,000 Angelinos and affects every one of us. It is a humanitarian crisis that takes the life of 5 people every day. In every neighborhood, we can see the failures of the status quo: despair, desperation, human suffering. And our children are growing up knowing nothing else than this. It must stop, and change starts now. My emergency declaration unlocks tools and powers to make sure we are using every resource possible at the scale that is needed to save lives and restore our neighborhoods. There will be no holding back on my watch. The death rate and mass displacement of LA's homelessness crisis.
Beware of people who talk about solutions to the homelessness crisis and they're not specifically and loudly talking about homes. It's in the title of what you're calling them, homeless, and you just deduct the LESS and give them a home. Very simple. But when they start talking about solutions to homelessness and you're not hearing the word home, it ain't the solution for the people that are homeless. It's for the people, it's a solution for the people that are housed who don't want to see the homeless. Shelters are temporary places. They're not answers to homelessness. Shelters are not. Now, let's read this part. Now, you saw that, what she tried to present on camera of what she's doing. Now, let's read. Karen Bass, an ongoing member of the U.S. Hold on a second here. An outgoing member of the U.S. House of Representatives from California, was sworn in as mayor of Los Angeles Sunday, replacing outgoing mayor Eric Garcetti. The event itself was a gala affair completely out of proportion to the actual public support for the new Democratic mayor, which is virtually non-existent. And look who she got out here. Kamala Harris, of all people, get the fuck out of here. Bass, in fact, won the mayoral election mostly by default. Her opponent, billionaire real estate developer Rick Caruso, was widely hated not only as an embroiled an embodiment of obscene wealth and privilege in one of the most unequal cities in the country, but also for his opposition to abortion rights, especially in the wake of U.S. Supreme Court Dobbs decision ripping away abortion rights at the federal level. Vice President Kamala Harris flew to Los Angeles to personally administer the oath of office to Bass on Sunday, while a celebration in the new mayor's honor was held at the Microsoft Theater near City Hall, with a performance by musician Stevie Wonder and a reading by young bromide sprouting celebrity poet Amanda Gorman. Harris' husband, Doug Imhoff, also attended the event with several other U.S. Congress members. Acknowledging the vice president's presence in her inaugural address, Bass stated, "Know that your city has your back." The presence of Harris is significant as it represents another attempt by the ruling elite to utilize crass upper middle class identity politics as a means to distract from the essentially right-wing character of the new administration. Bass, like Harris before her, is being celebrated as the first woman and Black woman to hold her office, and the transformational character of her new administration is being widely celebrated as a compliment and servile media apparatus. Celebrated by a complainant and servile media apparatus. That's what I said. I'm sorry. I read the same line. Her actual record, though, like Harris, is that of an established law and order candidate for high office, resisting all calls to rein in police brutality and promising brutal repression against the poor and working class instead. Bass has promised to sharply increase the size of the Los Angeles Police Department, and when recently asked to respond to the popular call to defund the police, which emerged during the mass protests over the 2020 police murder of George Floyd, called it one of the worst slogans ever, end quote. Instrumental in pushing through budget cuts at the state level during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009, when she was Speaker of the California Assembly, Bass is now turning her attention towards addressing the critical homeless crisis in Los Angeles. The new mayor called for a fundamental shift in how the city addresses the issues of policing and homelessness. Quote, "It also takes a fundamental shift," end quote, she said. Quote, away from no, that's not my problem, and now to how can we work together to get to a yes. The very next day, her first as mayor, Bass declared a state of emergency to deal with the homeless issue. Now, again, this is to supplement the nice, warm stories she said and she did performed in front of camera. Now, this is telling you the opposite side of what actually she's doing. So the very next day, her first as mayor, Bass declared a state of emergency to deal with the homeless issue. Bass promised to house 15,000 of the city's homeless population of nearly 70,000 during her first year. She promised that the city would put more resources into trained neighborhood service teams to connect people with housing and mental health services, that she would use her contacts with the Biden administration to obtain federal housing vouchers along with federal waivers for the construction of mental health and substance abuse facilities. This is a bleak prospect indeed, considering the Biden administration prioritization of funding for the war in Ukraine in preparation for a wider war against Russia and China. While Bass lamented the desperate housing situation of Los Angeles residents, quote, today too many Angelenos have no choice but to crowd multiple families into one home and to work multiple jobs just to barely pay rent, end quote. No mention was made of the predatory landlord and banks who have made fortunes out of skyrocketing and unaffordable rents and are themselves in large part responsible for the rise in homelessness. Housing costs in Los Angeles are among the most expensive in the nation, with an average apartment rental of $2,734 per month. Now, the thing goes on to say she's basically a joke. She's not going to do anything. This is the same sort of oh, we're going to do, these are the solutions, same sort of solutions of non-solutions, of not putting people in houses, of not rent control, of not bringing rent down, like all of these things, of not raising the minimum wage. That's something she can do. How about raise the minimum wage in Los Angeles to $35? Do you think that will help a lot of unhoused people secure housing? That's something you can do. But believe me, she's not doing anything to solve this problem outside of the same the same sort of solutions that aren't solutions. That's Karen Bass. So check out the rest of the story there. I think I'm going to end it there because I'm supposed to have dinner. It's 8:10 here. It's 11:10 East Coast, 6:10 in Samoa. So I think I may have to push this other story back because the family is ready for dinner, ready to go get something to eat, and they're waiting for me. So I got three hungry females here that I got to get out of here. So I think I'm going to have to push the Michigan story to another day. But let me see. Hold on a second here. We're currently at 281 likes. Can we do 19 more? Let's just get to 300. Let's get to an even 300. I'll throw up your comments before I move to the next one here. Let's see. Thanks for the show, CJ. Not quite gone, but will be leaving soon. Karen Bass is a fake progressive. Absolutely. Dinner time, yes, for me. Karen is going to lock up folks for being poor. That's essentially what she's going to do. And we need to get more trained people on the field. That's essentially getting more people out there so they can get more people in prison. This is a joke. This is a joke. And they just have to keep redressing, doing nothing up with different words, different mess. This is why you always hear media say, what's the messaging? Because it's never about the policy. It's about how you're telling people, what's the new way you're going to tell people how you're not going to do anything. Right? I think, let me take this down. Let's go to Twitter to get our closing video. And another reason I wanted to come tonight, because I don't think I'm going to be here tomorrow. Because I've been streaming on Sundays for maybe 3 or 4 weeks in a row, but I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. Gotta be out doing family stuff, shopping with the wife and kids, that type of thing. So that's what I gotta do. So I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. Where's my bookmarks? So yeah. Nick and I will be back on Monday, though. So again, we're pushing ourselves to 300 likes. Sorry, not 20, but 300 likes. That is what we're trying to get to. Now, I think we'll end with Sister Soja. Will be our closeout video. She's one of the favorites when I play these videos. How do I make it bigger? Okay. All right, so yeah, she'll be our closeout video. But before we get to that, let's throw up all your comments. Make sure that's our email if you're looking at emails for any reason. Subscribe to our Substack if you would like to get notifications of unannounced, unscheduled streams like the one tonight. Join our Substack. If you're watching this on replay or you're barely getting here an hour and 30 minutes into it, and I'm about to end soon, and you wish you were here to watch it live, join our Substack. Also, if you want to join our Discord, join our Substack. That's one way to, that's the free version of getting it. If you're a paying Patreon subscriber or member, you also get access to our Discord. And then the free version is if you subscribe to our Substack, our free Substack, you also get the link to join our Discord. So if you want to join our Discord, make sure you get that. Again, we're liking the stream, trying to get us to 300. And let's go through your comments. Let me bring them up here. So we're going to go ahead and go through your comments. Thank you for the love. I love you. We love you here at RBN. And let's put up the other super chat. I was going to put this up in the back, but I know I read it already, but let's throw that up again. Thank you for all those super chats that we receive. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everybody that stayed up on the East Coast to watch. And I'll throw your comments up as this video of Sister Soldier plays. Let me see how long this video is, by the way. This is 2:13. All right. So I got 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 13 seconds to put your comments up. So throw your comments. If you haven't told me where you live, where you're watching from, put that in the comments. Also, I'll put that up. Outside of that, thank you for watching. Signing off. This is CJ. You left shit out.
Appeal to a country that doesn't have a moral conscience. The question becomes that when white people feel serious and angry and upset about abortion, they come out in the thousands up to the millions to say, this is what we believe about abortion. Where is the white outcry against white racism that murders African people all around this entire globe? It doesn't exist. So who are these white good people? I want to meet them. I want to see them. I feel it's not enough.
But that might be all we can give.
No. And guess what? I don't work with all I can get. What I work with is what I have. Listen, you have to have some confidence in the power of African people amongst ourselves to establish a foundation. We have. We have. We have utter chaos in our cities, and you got to see that. You can have a program. I'm not saying we've built a lot of institutions, and those institutions have not been effective. The majority of millions of African youth in this country are dying mentally, dying spiritually, dying emotionally, dying academically. And you may have a program, Mr. Brown may have a program, but what we got to talk about is an American government that tracks millions of African people who don't go to your program, don't go to Brown's program. Millions of African people, not only here, but all around the world. And if we are not honest enough to say who are our friends, who are our enemies, to know what a friend is, to know what an enemy is, we will constantly be trying to get into people's parties, to shake our butts with them, to get them to like us. And that's not the question. The question is, what can we build amongst ourselves to secure ourselves from our enemies so that we will be able to survive into the future?
Mayor Kelly.
It's enough to know that if I walk out Washington, D.C. tonight, some black kid in Washington, D.C. is blowing off another black kid's head for a pair of sneakers because the institutions that we're talking about, not the things that we hold up and say, look, this is one example. The institutions that we're talking about are not saving the minds of those African children.